This is episode 151 of the Focused Mindset Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about 4 ways that will absolutely guarantee that you will be walking closer and closer to your highest hopes this year. But before we do, thank you for being a listener to this podcast. I know you have many choices. How about you give this show a follow? Whether you listen on Spotify, whether you listen on Apple, there's a way that you can follow the show, and then it just becomes one of your favorite programs. You won't miss a single episode that we do, and feel free to leave a review this year. The reviews help this broadcast be pushed out to people like you, so you can grow your hopes and you can help others do the same. So without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Focused Mindset Podcast. This is the one and only podcast where you can figure out how to sort out your life using the solution-focused approach. You may have heard about it in counseling, but guess what? You can have a mindset that's full of solutions rather than filled up with all of the problems that try and overwhelm us. I'm Cher Kretz. I am a solution-focused life coach and I'm a school counselor. Here, we discuss how you can be the best version of yourself in your home and with the people you love. Jump over to my website, thefocusedmindset.com, to learn more about our products and services. Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you could join me here today. Welcome to the Focused Mindset Podcast, where we often talk about how you can reach your highest hopes. The truth is, many of us have set some high hopes for the year to come. And I know if you're like me, you're already hearing that voice within you that's saying, maybe you should doubt yourself. Maybe this isn't all going to work out. But there is a way for you to rise above and quiet that negative self-talk. And one of those is outlined in my writing books, 30 Days to Higher Hopes. I want to revisit some of the things that are in this book. Many of you have reached out to me and talked to me about the ways that it's impacted your life, the way it's impacted your family's life, to put an extra focus on the hopes that you have always had in your heart, but you buried so far deep down. And now you're not only finding the will to move forward with your hopes and dreams, but you're finding the way to do that. You may remember a few months back when we talked about the 2 things that you need to reach your highest hopes. You need both the will, which would be the motivation, the internal flame, if you will, and you need a way. And that's one reason that I wrote 30 Days to Higher Hopes, so you can build both of those 2 skills up in your mind. You can start that today. I feel that journaling is going to unlock your potential each and every day, but you got to take daily steps. It takes action. So let me ask you, are you surrounding yourself with people that lift you higher? Are you noticing hopeful and mindful moments around you? Are you being kind to yourself? And are you practicing changing fear talk to hope talk? These are the 4 steps that I follow each and every day, and I fall often. When I come back to these questions, though, and I ask myself with curiosity, not judgment, I usually can pinpoint the place that I'm falling short. And then that's when my best self runs away and some other version of myself that I really don't like comes out, and the grumpiness and the fear talk, and whether it's internal or whether it's coming out, it's happening. But I know that if I follow these steps each and every day and I hold myself accountable, I have better results and I feel more hopeful. I hope you can do the same today. Those 4 steps again. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Notice the hopeful moments around you. Be kind to yourself. And change your fear talk to hope talk. Which one of those do you think will be a challenge? If one of those hit you in a place and you're like, that one got me, well, then you should write that down and commit it to a promise to yourself as an affirmation, even stronger than the others, because that means that that's the one that you need work on. I know for the longest time, I've been focusing on this step 4, changing fear talk to hope talk. This is something I think that you and I can both notice in a different type of way going into the next year. If we plan to accomplish goals, whether it be in our professional life, our personal life, our life as parents, our life as with our significant other, even in our life of singleness, we have a commitment to ourselves to live in a way that lines up with our values. How can we do that when we are covered in fear? Now, I recently spoke to a client, and they spoke to me about a real fearful future that they are facing because of some things that crashed down in their life over the last few weeks. When we're in that moment where that fear is real, how is it that we can change it to hope talk? I know the fear is real. Sometimes you need to honor that and say, and just call it like it is. Say, this is fearful. But the first thing sometimes we try to do is figure it out. And our mind wants to figure out, why is this so scary? And it goes to the worst possible scenario of what might happen due to this fear. That is the thought that you can take captive. That is the place that you can put the brakes on and say, hold on. I am experiencing real fear. This is something that is terrifying. However, I do not need to choose to take my mind down a rabbit hole of made up things that have not even happened yet. We create a worst case scenario future in our mind that only causes doom, heartache, and sadness. And then we justify it by saying, well, of course I'm doing that because of that fear that's real. I wonder if you could acknowledge a fear that is in your life, but then choose hope talk instead. Even if you do not even see a hopeful future, you can choose to say, you know what, I've been through hard things before, and I believe that I'm going to walk to the other side of this hard thing too. In spite of the challenges, in spite of the mountain in front of me. That is just the beginning of hope talk. Sometimes all you can say is, I don't feel hope, but I know hope exists. And because hope exists, I will believe that. Just a simple belief changes our mind from that swirling place of doom. Again, what are the daily steps that you can take to reach your highest hopes today? Surround yourself with people that lift you higher. Notice the hopeful moments around you. Even if it's just a beautiful sunset, notice the hopeful moments around you. Be kind to yourself and change your fear talk to hope talk. These are the exact steps that I give you in 30 Days to Higher Hopes. And hop on over to my website, thefocusedmindset.com, and you can get a special deal on not only my book, signed by me, sent to you if you're in the United States, but also a special download that goes over all of the different trainings that I've done about my book, including this talk that we're doing right now. You can get that at my website, but you can also get a copy of the book for as much as it costs to basically these days go out to fast food. You could get 30 Days to Higher Hopes sent directly to you. You get a copy for you. You can get a copy for your loved ones. And then you can let me know how these steps help you. I want to read from one of my pages before we head off into our week this week with strength and confidence. And it comes from the very first section that talks about gathering your thoughts without judgment. Oh man, it's so important that we don't place judgment on ourselves. We talk about how it's not good to be judgmental to others, but I think we're hardest on ourselves. I know that I am. I know that I find myself being way too judgmental about the things that I've done when I just need to back off. I need to notice it rather than judge it. So I'm going to read from my book right now. Picture yourself in front of a beautiful tree filled with red, delicious apples. If you were given one afternoon to pick all of the apples off that tree, how would you do it? Would you take a close look at each apple as you picked it? Would you examine each one to find the imperfections? Would you take the time to separate the apples into piles, one for apple pie, one for apple juice, and yet another for applesauce? Certainly not. That would take forever. Instead, you would pick those apples one after another until you have baskets and baskets full of apples. Look at gathering your thoughts in exactly the same way. When you journal, write down your thoughts until you have pages and pages full of your thoughts. Just like you would keep the very best apples for a pie, you'll learn how to notice the hopeful thoughts and lean into them. You will use your inner wisdom to help you move towards your highest hopes. So fill out your journal with honesty and curiosity. It's so important that we do that. Now, whether you're journaling in a blank open journal that you bought from, the store, or whether you've picked up my book, you'll see that the way that we journal, the very first thing before we even get into planning with a purpose, with our preferred future, is that we really need to give ourselves the attention that we need to gather information without judgment about ourselves. Gather it up and just notice it, accept it, and love on yourself. When I propose a question in journaling, such as, what is it like to hang out with you for the day? Or what do you believe in? Or what are the things you want most out of life? What are you best at? Name all the people in your life that help you feel hopeful. These are all meant for you to spark brand new pathways in your brain to start to open up those hopeful pathways and open up what your vision for your future will be based on your values. It won't make a difference at all to you if it doesn't fall in line with your personal values and who you are. So let this be an open call to you to look at your new year in a brand new way. Journal. Write down your thoughts. Be kind to yourself, but also be proactive in this step. Because yes, we want to go write down our lists many times. I know I can be really crazy with my lists at times. And we want to soar into our future with action. But this first step grounds us. What do we value? Maybe it's changed recently. Maybe it's drastically changed recently based on something you've been through. Be honest with yourself about that and be okay with it. Because the more honest you are with yourself, that you know what your values are, that they're not coming from any outside force, that they're coming from exactly the person that you know that you need to be. When you focus on your prayer life, when you focus on your deepest desires, your inner wisdom, it comes from the place of a sacred place, really. And you need to honor that sacred place. So that is why I start each of my journaling books with gathering without judgment. And we can even do that in our thoughts all throughout the day. We could be on the road to higher hopes each and every day towards where we need to be, rather than taking so many detours that maybe you noticed that you got off on last year. I'm going to be on that road with you. And again, let's revisit. What can you do? daily to step towards your higher hopes. Surround yourself with people that lift you higher. Notice the hopeful moments around you. Be kind to yourself and change your fear talk to hope talk. My child is going back to school after a long 3-week break in this week to come, and some of her classes will be different. And I anticipate there'll be some anxiety that I'll need to deal with. And that's part of my planning phase of saying, what kind of parent do I want to be? In that moment when she might be overwhelmed or tired because her sleep schedule got off, what kind of parent do I want to be? And being that we talk about having the focused mindset, not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones, I want to encourage you to take that moment to choose how you're going to be walking forward into the days to come. You can reflect upon a mistake that you've made, but don't dwell on that. Rather, choose the way you're going to be stepping forward. That's where the power is, people. It's in the person that we are growing into, not the person that we were. And you are growing into an amazing human that is full of purpose, love, and caring. So walk towards it boldly. And I'll see you next time on the Focused Mindset podcast or over at my website, where you can even book a discovery call with me if you're interested in coaching. And remember, at the beginning of this episode, I reminded you to leave a review for the show. It's really simple. You just look where there's the 5-star review when you're on the show page. You might have to scroll down a ways. And then there's a place on the Apple Podcast that says leave a written review. Those things mean so much to me, and it's a great way that you can support this show. It doesn't cost you a thing. I read every single one of them. It just puts a smile on my face to know how this podcast has touched your life. And if it has, feel free to share it. I give you permission to post it on your social page if you'd like to. It's also really simple to save the link and just send it out in a text. I love to be able to talk about solution-focused concepts, because when we're focused on the solutions that are out there in our life rather than being problem-focused, amazing things happen. So I'll see you next week, and until next time, keep in touch and take care.